Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode. What's episode number? Seven? Six? Seven? Seven or six? I'll put in a little like bubble somewhere up here, like near my face, what episode it is, because I forgot what episode number we're on. But we've got Waldo and friends with us,
That's me.
and yeah, these are streamed live on Twitch. So twitch.tv/Terrier Darts if you want to come along and watch them live. Obviously, the way to know about them is to follow my Twitter, which is twitter.com/Terrier Darts. And that is my little intro. Welcome in, Waldo. How are you doing?
Doing good. How are you doing? How's Valheim? I saw you playing before the
Yeah, I went
podcast.
to I was sat here. I'm thinking, oh god, I've got an hour to kill. I'm ready. I mean, I weren't ready, obviously, but I'm thinking I can't think of anything else to do. So I thought I'll go take on a little bit of Valheim, and then I
Fair enough.
died. I thought, oh look at the time. I best go.
Well, good when to spend the time before.
But yeah, so anyone who doesn't know Waldo,
That's a lot
he
of people.
so yeah, he's a lot of people. He is pretty much one of the big brains behind StreamUp. Big brains.
Small brain.
And we'll get into a few things that he's built later on, but he does. Is that a typo I made? I might have made a typo in that, but it's fine. His Twitch channel will be in the description below, and his YouTube, which he started uploading to, will be in there. So, your YouTube at the moment's mainly the Minecraft stuff, innit?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. There's
So if you
nothing
like,
OBS related or anything. Just
so if you like Minecraft, that's the place to go. I don't understand Minecraft. I don't get it. It's not me. Everybody tries to explain it to me. I'm like, I don't understand.
it's Valheim, but blockier.
uh, you play Valheim then. You know, just,
Touche.
we are trying. We are trying to get the world on Valheim.
One day. I did bought it. So
But yeah, so Valheim with creepers. Yeah, so I would think we were joking about how long we've known each other and how long we've followed each other before. And I have to say, I think it's been a while we've probably known each other.
yeah. Maybe like it depends how you would define it because I've seen you in like Andy Lippy's chat before. Um and like that's at least 2 years, maybe.
It has to be
But
something
then
like
how
that.
when we started talking, I don't know, maybe like a year, maybe? I don't know. Like time the last couple of years has just been
So,
irrelevant.
according to my statistics, I've followed you for 1 year, 10 months, and
Who's that?
you followed me for 2 months, 10 days. That's how long it took him to follow me.
Yeah. I'm not the good with that stuff.
But yeah, I think it was Andy Lippy that brought us together. Same with Bongo. It was that community that I were wanting to learn Leo board stuff, and it was. Although you were never doing it on stream,
No.
you weren't like Andy who did it on stream. It was always you're always there and building stuff, which was good. But yeah, that's I guess Waldo is worth a follow if you don't follow him. Really is worth a follow, especially when he tries to say flashlight.
I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it.
Uh,
Torch. There you go.
uh, do it. If you find if you want to understand that joke, go through Waldo's clips. You'll find the clip, and you'll understand it. It is brilliant. Because it's the fact that he didn't know what he'd said, then he got scared by a mirror. Because he plays
Yeah.
horror.
I do.
I don't know
It's
why.
fun.
I don't know why.
No,
Because he gets so scared.
No, but at least you feel something during a horror game. Like a lot of games, I'm like, yeah, I'm playing it. It's fun. Hooray. But if you play a horror game and it's a good one, you just get into it and you don't even realize chat is there anymore, which might be a bad thing actually. But you give them power by making them use scare alerts. And it's fun. It's fun.
It is funny that, when you get raided, you can't speak Dutch at all.
No,
But,
I
but when you
can't.
get scared, you bring a fluent Dutchness.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think I'm scared of the Dutch language, and that's why it triggers when I get scared.
Like,
Then I can speak it
fluent
fluently.
Dutch.
Yeah.
Although, he does have that redeem on, which we may talk about later down. The scare alert one. He set that up for the first time a while ago. And on Discord, it said Waldo is playing The Quarry. So I thought, I know what he's doing. He's getting set up for stream. So I go into his channel and I redeem the scare alert.
I jumped. Was so not expecting it. And it was loud. Like my headphones were like still just dialed to 11. I nearly shat my pants.
That's like one of my favorite Waldo stories.
Yeah, but like Shane says in chat, my favorite Dutch word when I get scared is God kleren. It's basically God damn it, but then in Dutch. It comes out.
It does, and it is really really good. Just to see you get scared. But then sometimes you cheat and you look at chat, so you see the redeem alert. So it's
Yeah, but I need to look at chat. Otherwise, they're like, "Oh, bad streamer, you don't cheat in my ear." Like,
could you
okay, jeez, chill.
could use Twitch speaker, so we're just talking to you.
Yeah.
Well, then that probably take away a little bit, because you'd always be listening.
Yeah, especially since horror stories are all often also like really focused on like the sound and not just the visuals. Because if you play a horror game without sound, it's boring AF.
Next up is you'd have to get yourself a VR headset, won't you, and do VR horror games.
Yeah. I'm still debating if I want to go for the PlayStation VR 2. I don't have a beefy PC to actually play VR games, and I don't have that much room here. I mean, it's just a small room. So I'll probably just go for the PlayStation VR 2. Mostly I'll play VR in the living room, and then every now and then maybe stream it. But there aren't that many good games announced yet. So, but yeah, horror games in VR, maybe that can actually scare me. Okay, I do get scared in horror games, but it's more like I jump. I don't get scared. I jump.
Yeah, I think I like that though. When people say watching horror films, I'd rather have a horror film that makes me jump, and I find that more enjoyable to watch than something like psychological, because it doesn't seem to affect me that much without sounding like ballsy.
Oh, I'm a big man. I can take it. No, it just doesn't do that much.
It don't play on my mind because I know it's a film, and I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But like paranormal, like jump scary ones do make me crawl.
It depends. They need to be executed well because sometimes the jump scare is really cheap, and sometimes they're just not timed correctly and just does not work. And it's like, oh yeah, wow, just a woman outside of the window.
I remember once I was watching a horror film. I think it was Insidious, and I watched them in a dark room on my own, and it got to this really tense moment, and then my door caught a draft, and I shat myself. One of the few times I've actually really actually vocally made a noise when I've jumped. But yeah, that did actually make me jump because you
Nice.
just get hooked into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so now we know that Waldo likes to be jumped, scared, and everything. We'll get on to the proper first question. Really, is
Oh,
now we know what it's all about. It's the start in the early days. So, why did you start streaming? What was it like? What were your setup like? So this is all
oh,
pre-Leo on board sort of thing.
yeah. So my setup was jank. And to start the story, I think we actually need to go back like 10 years. Because I used to do YouTube in Dutch when I was still fluent in Dutch. Because apparently I'm not anymore. But I used to do YouTube in Dutch like when I was, I think, 18, 16, somewhere around that age. And I had to stop it because of like school. Got bad grades. So I stopped it. But ever since then, I kind of did want to do content creation, but I never really got into it because I felt like it took so much time to make a video. So fast forward probably 7 years later, pandemic, I was bored. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stream. That sounds like less effort. I mean, you start up a game, turn on the camera, and go. Um, oh boy, did I was wrong in the effort part. um, but yeah, my first couple of streams were jank. I used an iPad propped up as a camera. Um, and the only computer I owned was a Mac Mini. So the problem with that, I did own a capture card to capture gameplay from like a Switch and a PlayStation 4. The only issue was the capture card. I looked on the website of Elgato. It's like, oh yeah, it supported the Mac OS. I'm like, oh great, but it only worked in their weird recording software and not in OBS. So what I had to do to get the game capture inside of OBS was to use that capture software to stream to a local RTMP server, then embed that server feeds into OBS, and then sync all the times up because, well, the webcam had a different timing than the microphone, than the gameplay footage. It was a mess.
That sounds like a right
Oh,
headache.
mess. It was, oh. And I honestly Mario Kart. That was basically
Oh,
my main game.
oh, that sounds just so like so much. Why don't you just stream straight from your PlayStation?
Because okay, I thought that was jank. That was even okay. To be fair, okay, my setup was jank, but I thought that was more jank than because I wanted to have stuff on my stream as well, not just my gameplay and then a camera. I wanted more, um, like alerts, etc. I didn't know that was possible. Door like with just console streaming. I don't know if is it possible. I don't know. I never tried it. I was like, no, you know what you need to do. You need to use OBS. You need to get a capture card and stream that way. So I bought like a secondhand capture cards from some random kid on the internet.
So did you never have a Streamlabs phase? Did you go straight to OBS or did you have a
I
Streamlabs phase?
tried both, but I think I only streamed using OBS Studio because there was something about Streamlabs that I didn't like. I think it was just the lack of plugins. I knew beforehand I'll probably are going to use some plugins later on. So let's just go with OBS Studio. Although I did like the look of Streamlabs better. And there wasn't really a big debate on what actually was better back then. At least in my understanding, I didn't really see that much difference. But then again, I wasn't into streaming yet, so couldn't tell. But yeah, I only used OBS Studio actually.
Yeah.
So no
I mean, I think
Streamlabs for me.
I think I started with Streamlabs for a little bit. Then someone just said, "OBS Studio's far better. OBS is far better. You should use that." And then, I mean, my first stream looked awful. I mean, it had so much stuff on the screen and all that. I look back and I think, "Oh, God, that looks awful." Because I had latest follower thing, like ticker bar sort of thing, and I had something else, and I thought, "Oh, this is cool. This is cool." And it would might have everything being really cool, but then when you put everything together, it was too much. It
Yeah,
was like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But when I got to OBS, it didn't have any of that built in, so that's when I had to look for other things. But so did you have any form of bot then? Did you before? Because obviously at this point you were a family on board. Were you using Nightbot, Stream Elements?
I think I was using Streamlabs as a bot at first because I did get an alert package, and I think that only worked with Streamlabs, so I just used that. I think I might have switched to Stream Elements, but as soon as I found like Board, I just switched to that actually. I think both Streamlabs and Stream Elements were actually banned in my chat currently.
uh, I think I use everything. I think I've spoken about this before. I use everything. I went from because I found before without the cloud ones, so like the Nightbot, Streamlabs,
That was the
Moobot,
one I used. The Streamlabs bot, but then the local one.
is the chatbot
Yeah.
that will program. Yeah, I use that at some point. But I found out all the cloud ones that like I said, Stream Elements. That's how I like to be time in
Mhm.
red. They all miss somewhat for me. So some of them had a good quote system, some had a crap quote system, some had a point system, some had a crap point system,
Yeah.
and I couldn't find anything. And I think that's how I found Leo on board. Someone said it. Oh, Leo on board's really good. You can program your own stuff, sort of thing. And I went against that. But yeah. But since then, you have actually upgraded your PC now, haven't you? You've got a full new PC.
Yeah. Well, actually, before I had the Mac Mini, I streamed using Mac OS for a while, and I was like, okay, this I can't do it. So I installed Windows on the Mac Mini next to Mac OS, and then started streaming from Windows. That was at least already a little bit better because now I only have to deal with the delay of my camera and microphone and game instead of those all three being out of sync. So yeah, then I moved to like Windows on my Mac Mini, and then only like a year and a half ago, maybe I got a PC. So
Because I remember you built that on stream, Didn't you?
I did, yeah, yeah, yeah.
You and
Droid Interactive.
Droid
It's
Interactive.
a good buddy of mine from university.
I couldn't remember if it was him or your other mod, who named escapes me.
Well, it's
Flying,
either Silverlink
Flying
or
Dutchie.
Andy.
Ain't the Flying
No, Flying
Dutchie?
Dutchie is not a moderator in my chat. He is there often.
All right, I thought you were a mod.
No.
Or they were a mod. But yeah, so you've been streaming for a while now, and then at some point you will have found Leo on board. How did
Yeah.
you find Leo on board?
I found Leo on board because I wanted a stream deck, but I was like, yeah, I can't like rectify this for myself. It's kind of expensive. It's just a couple of buttons, and I need something else. And I don't know if the like phone version of the Elgato Stream Deck was already out at that point. If it was, I was like, yeah, but I'm not going to use it because you need to pay for it as well. In the end, you need like I think it's just a few bucks a month for the phone app. So I searched for something else. I think I just searched on the OBS forums. Came across streamerbot. I was like, this seems like a Stream Deck alternative. So downloaded it, installed it, and then I realized I could do a lot more with it than just pressing a few buttons. So then I slowly just started using like moving all my chat commands over as well, stuff like that. I was like, okay, I'm a programmer by trade during the day, and I figured I can do even more than just all the chat stuff that I did before, like all the commands. I can actually create effects that build on top of stuff using variables and if statements. If this happens, then that should happen. If we are streaming this, then that should happen. But if we're streaming another game, something else should happen. And then I went into a YouTube rabbit hole, like looking at Leonboard videos. And yeah, I think that's how I found. Yeah, that's definitely how I found Andy. I mean, why would I find him anyway? Otherwise.
I think that's how almost everybody found Andy.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I think I went same place, that I couldn't justify spending that X amount of money on something that just presses buttons.
Yeah.
Although
And,
I own one now, just so I just
yeah,
I
me
own
too.
one.
Got the big thing
Yep.
and the big one.
Yep.
Oh, you too.
I almost dropped it.
Oh.
It's a lot of different buttons, but yeah, I love it now. And I'm like, well, why didn't I get one ages ago? So much easier.
Yeah.
But yeah, I bought one for my birthday and a few like Twitch payouts and stuff like that. Because
Nice.
money that went towards it, I did. But yeah, but I was saying, but I couldn't justify paying for it, and I had a spare tablet because you could put your things on a tablet. It was dead easy to put the decks on tablets and just pressing buttons, and I moved everything over. At that point, I weren't really bothered about the point system because that's one thing a lot of the bots missed. Some of them missed a proper point system, and I was like, okay, this does what I need, and then I started hanging out with Andy's stream, learning more and more what could be done, learning from Andy, and I built some pretty cool stuff, I think.
Didn't you build like a Connect 4?
I built
in Leonboard?
Yep.
Madness. I'm a programmer, and I would not touch that in something like Leonboard because that's just pain.
It was.
The reason why I used Leonboard was because I didn't have to reinvent the wheel for like creating effects, etc. I could just make a program myself, go through what should happen when a channel point is redeemed or something, and then trigger all the stuff in OBS. I could do that myself, but it was way easier to do it in a program that could already handle everything and just gives me building blocks to actually create something, so I can much more focus on that instead of actually coding the bot itself. So I could just make all the stuff I wanted to do instead of spending way too much time on first like the back end in order to do the stuff that I want to do. So that's mostly why I used like Leonboards.
I mean, we when we did the Lifesaver podcast, he'd already had like the first version of streamerbot from Nate, and then someone mentioned Leonboard to him, and he was like, "What's Leonboard?" So he'd never heard of Leonboard. So with what you just said, there's part of that wonders Had Nate or Lifesaver known about Leo on board, would we have had streamerbot?
Fun fact: if Leoran would have known about this stream deck, would he have made Leoran board? Because I think when Leoran first made like Leoran boards, he didn't know about the stream deck, and just made a program to like create stuff, like controls OBS. And later on, he was told, dude, there's something like a stream deck, or something along those lines. So if he knew about a stream deck, would have been the on board, and then would there have been streamerbot?
Yeah, it's an odd little in a
It's like a
parallel
butterfly effect.
yeah, in a parallel universe, none of this exists.
And Elgato rule the world. Like, they still kind of do.
Yeah, they kind of do. But yet, so you kind of mentioned the next question. What we went to is meeting Andy. So you've been in Andy's room. I know we asked Andy about this, but from your perspective, how did stream up come about?
Like I said, I jumped in like a YouTube rabbit hole, and then I found both Nutty and Andy, and Andy looked more approachable to me. And I just got in contact with Andy in the Leorin board Discord because he was making a video and he already shared it, I think, in the Discord and not on YouTube yet, something along those lines. And he made a mistake, and I called him out for it. It wasn't really like a mistake, just like a slight like info, some information wasn't quite right. I was just like being pedantic, like, "Hey, that's not right. It's actually this need to do." Like, okay, I'll fix it. I'll fix it. And then later on, I created like the iOS notification. That was just something I did for my own stream. I was like, maybe this Andy guy would like it as well. So I went in his Discord and I posted in like the show, like the show off channel. It was like, and then he was like, "Oh man, that's great. Would you mind me doing a video on it?" I was like, "Sure, go ahead." I was like, "Oh yeah. Do you want to do a bit in the video?" I was like, "Sure." I mean, I got nothing to lose. I was like a 4 viewer Andy. That's actually normally you say a 1 viewer Andy, but Andy doesn't have 1 viewer. Never mind. um, and like 4 viewers, I got nothing to lose. Like doing a collaboration with this guy. He's clearly bigger than I am. So win for me. So yeah, I did a video. We made the iOS notification together. Well, I already made it, but then we remade it so it could be more easily installed by other people. And then I don't know if it was the first like Discord call Andy and I were on together, or maybe the second. But then he pitched the idea for Stream Up to me. We were just chatting. And it's like, oh, you know what? We should make it so simple that people just could go to a website, pick a widget, and then click install, and bada bing, bada boom, it's in their OBS. And Andy had like really big ideas. And he's like, yeah, I'm looking for somebody that can like do this with me. And he's like, are you that guy? I'm like, your idea goes a little bit too far. He had like really grand ideas. I'm like, this might work, but you have to tone it down a lot, because he wanted to have everything integrated, like fully automatic, and a lot of the things that we would need for that weren't even there. Mind you, we still had like the weird um like the weird installers for Lear on board.
Or you had to write them all in like, OBS Raw, didn't you?
Yeah. It was the worst. And I was like, oh yeah, but you're a programmer. Can you write like a plugin? I'm like, I don't know. I think it's written in C, like OBS, and I don't know C. Well, I have written a little bit of C, but I would not be able to write a plugin for OBS. I'm not gonna touch that. So I just toned Andy down, and I said, yeah, we could do it. And if we just start small, we can see if it works. If it catch on, and then we can grow. We can grow with it, and we are growing with it because, like, look at the last thing Andy's now doing, the dynamic stream island. It's a lot more integrated now because you already got like the settings view, so you can just do a command, you get a whole screen with some settings, which actually I kind of Andy was like, okay, how are we gonna do this? These settings, because I also need like a lot of information if we have extensions for it, and then you were working on that tool of yours. I was like, you know what? I could actually just make a UI programmatically in streamerbot, and you only have to specify a few settings that you want, and it will just spit out a UI for the settings. So we are getting more and more to that idea what Andy had in the beginning, but we're still not there yet. But yeah, he just basically, I think it was the second or maybe even the first call that we ever had, and he commented, he came with the idea. I'm like, that's a lot, mate.
Yeah, you can see how in the nicest possible way your two personalities are so like you're more mellow, you're more laid
Yeah.
back, you're more like, and where he's up here. Like I'm
Oh,
doing this, I'm
definitely.
doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this.
Slow down.
And I think he needs someone like you behind him, and obviously Silverlink as well, there to say, right, take a step back, one thing at a time.
Yeah.
This. Because even when I think a while ago he updated all the plugins to match for WebSocket 5, I feel like he'd have done them all like mixing together if it had been left run wild. If just do one at a time, Andy. Get the alerts
Yeah.
done. Get the Final Fantasy thing done. Next one, next one. Because you can see how he does it. You see, even with this dynamic island, you can see how his imagination ran wild with him. With it, I could
Oh,
have
we can also
this,
do this, and
and that's why we do love him, because he has all these brilliant ideas. But again, it's like
he just needs a leash.
just needs a leash, and that's why
it.
we abuse him just to keep him grounded.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's interesting because I think when we started the extension Discord, before it came public, I think I actually spoke to you about it. I said, look, this is what we're doing. This isn't a thingy or like that. I don't know if you remember me doing this, but Galman had approached me about having something like Stream Up, but for streamerbot, and that's how the extension Discord started.
Yeah.
As something like that, because at the time, I think Andy was taking his break, and there were nothing streamerbot wise, and we were all building things, and again, it didn't really plan out the way we wanted to, because now it's just the extension wiki with a lot of things on there. But I remember messaging you about 2 weeks before we went public that we'd started the Discord saying, Waldo, please don't hate me. This is what we're doing. We're not competition. We're gonna blah blah blah. 'Cause I'm the type of person that would hate you to think, oh, they're just stealing my ideas. This stealing our ideas.
No,
They're trying
but
to do.
like, if you can do the same kind of thing, I mean, we don't have the sole right of making stuff for streamerbot or for Sammy or whatever. I mean, that's just in the public, but it's got to be a problem when people create the exact same thing without prior permission, which we've seen before.
Yeah. Well, I think for me it was my own personal insecurities that we'd obviously built a friendship, me and you, because remember this we've only been doing this Discord, the extension Discord, about a year now,
Hmm.
and for the first 3, 4, 5 months, it were just 5 people in a Discord building stuff. That's how it started, and then we went public, blah blah blah. Anyway, but I mean, it's good to see Stream Up do well as well, though. Going back to Stream Up, it is good to see Stream Up doing well. And it's good to go into other streams and see. You must feel it yourself when you go into other streams and say, I built that. Especially
Yeah,
random
although
streams.
it's in my case, it's mostly only the Pokemon game that I see, because a lot of things I did and do for Stream Up or like more in the background. And he creates a lot of like the alert packages and widgets. And what I've done is more like stuff that's in the background. I created the integration with Hydrate, so you can get your heart rate on stream. I did it both for that. At that time, it was still Leon boards, and later on, I did it for streamerbot. Luckily, it's now built into streamerbot, so that's even better. Um, yeah, but it's so cool when I just come into a stream and I see the Pokemon game in the corner. I'm like, yeah, I made that.
um, one thing I do remember you making, as you said, the iOS thing. When
Yep.
I first got affiliated, I got affiliated because I found a little community and it had like Retro Stew, Jiggly Peach, them sort of people in. And Jiggly streams on a Mac at the moment, so she can't use, but she used Leo on board. And I went onto a stream one day and I said hello, and all of a sudden they had this bing, and it was your iOS notification. And I was like, that's so cool. How did you find that? How did you find that? You know, and they're saying, I know Walder. I know him. And it would just so cool. So then I knew if she needed I could build things just like that. But yeah, that was Stream Up. Stream Up came before the OBS could create sources as well, didn't it? Because I
Mm.
remember Andy sharing his tic-tac-toe thingy saying, "Oh, you need to create this source. You need to create this source. You need to create this source." And all you have to do is create the sources. Then you have to press the install button, and it did all the positioning and all the thingies
Yeah, no,
for
that
you.
was before, I believe. That was before. We did release the tic tac toe on Stream Up as well, but it was like an updated version that would do like the installer methods. But I think the original tic tac toe was from before the actual um, like start of Stream Up.
Yeah. All right. I forget. There's a lot of
I might have
timeline
my
in there.
timeline wrong though.
Yeah, there is a lot in that timeline because a lot happened. Because again, there was a point when I remember Leon Bod couldn't create channel points, and now it can. Now it could. I remember that being added in Leon Bod.
Yeah.
So that was like game changer because you could have it create a channel point, and then you'd have the ID, and then you could have all the editing stuff, which you took advantage of and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. I think that was the moment I got like, oh, maybe I can do something with it, which eventually became the Pokemon game.
And speaking of the Pokemon game, that's it. So the Pokemon game is probably the one thing you're most known for. With everybody knows Pokemon and
Yeah.
Friends were made by Waldo, and the amount of people that would say, "When's it coming for StreamerBot? When's it coming for StreamerBot? When's it coming for StreamerBot?"
Do you want a spoof? Like, no, not a spoof. Do you want a scoop? You want a scoop?
Go Scoop, go on then.
Okay. It's gonna be this month. It's gonna be the Sunday the 29th.
29.
It's gonna be public by then. There you go. You hit it here first.
Public StreamerBot, Pokemon and Friends. I mean, you've been running on your channel now for a good
The longest time.
while,
Yeah.
and it seemed. I mean, it hasn't been perfect, I think, but you've done well with it, and it works well in Bongo's stream. It works well in Andy's stream. But so going back to that very first one,
Yeah.
where did
For
that
the
idea come from?
The idea comes from there's another chatbot on Twitch, which is also like a Pokemon game where you can catch Pokemon, but that was purely in chat. So a chat message would pop up. Oh, a wild Pikachu appeared, and then you could do exclamation mark catch, and then a few times later it was like, oh, you caught a Pokemon. Basically, like a lot of streamers do, such as Bongo, where they got a raffle. You just like basically enter the raffle to win the Pokemon, and then at the end, there you go. You got the you got a Pokemon. Oh, is that the one?
Oh,
Pokemon community game.
I
I
think that's
actually don't. I don't know how it was called. It might have been that one.
I think there's a few different ones, but that's the one I know
Yeah.
of, the Pokemon
And then-
community game.
Like I came across one of those when I was just bored and was like just browsing Twitch. And I was like, huh, that's kind of fun, but also kind of boring because it was just in chat, and the streamer didn't really acknowledge it anyway or it as well either, because yeah, it's just chat. It was just like filler at that point in chat. It's like, you can do better. Why is there no on-screen element like to say, hey, there's a Pokemon? And did we already? Yeah, we already started Stream Up at that point. And I told Andy this idea. Well, no, I didn't tell him the idea. I was just showing him some animations I did in OBS using the Move Transition plugin. And he was like, yes, you gotta do this. We didn't start Stream Up yet, but I was like, we were in talks about it, and I was like, this might be something for it. This might be a big one. Turns out it was indeed a big one. So I started building it in Leorin boards, which was actually a pain. Because I had to, yet you have to deal with the queue in Leorin board itself, but you also have to deal with, okay, somebody redeemed the catch Pokemon channel point reward, but then you need to actually pause it or hide it, because nobody else should be able to redeem it at the same time, because only one person can throw a Pokeball at the time. And that just goes haywire, and it's a mess. And you all do it in like a visual programming language, and I know how to actually program something. I'm a C# developer, and it's just painful to drag and drop all the boxes that you need in order to create something. Eventually, I did it, and we released it. Yeah, it just got really big. So big to the point that we got clones of it that people just made and sold off as their own, and that we got like community editions that ask for permission beforehand that go way further than my base version ever got to. It's insane.
But I remember it coming about because at the same time, Andy was building his Tamagotchi sort of thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we did it for the
Hackathon.
Twitch Dev Hackathon. Yes.
Remember that?
Yeah.
But I remember once it got released, all the questions like, when's this coming? When's this coming? When's this coming? And even me, I was thinking, oh, for God's sake, just give the guy a moment. When's trading coming? And people mods, because people didn't want the whole, because you released it first with just the first 151 Gen 1 Pokemon. people adding, oh, I've added all these other Pokemon and I've changed all the sprites, and I mean, I found it exhausting. With all due respect. So I don't know how you found it, but there's now a section in the stream Discord that's solely for Pokemon
Yeah,
modding in there
yeah,
for this.
there is. I just mostly just did this. I just did not pay attention to it for the most part. I was like, if you got the base game, you did, and you do nothing else, sure, I'll give you support for it. But as soon as you touch anything, you're out. I'm not gonna support it.
Yeah,
But that's the beauty of like the streamer products. We do allow people to just do whatever they want with it.
yeah,
As long as you don't like resell it or share it without um so that's why the mod from Chris was allowed for us. Is that originally you didn't you downloaded our Pokemon game and then you download the mod on top of it. So in that way, he didn't share the original game again. So people had to come to stream up to get the base game and then install the mod on top of it.
that's clever. Actually, I remember helping because at this point there were no streamer, but I remember helping someone because he wanted the ground types. You know that when remember in Gen 3 when they'd have a different underneath and the grounding would be
Yeah, yeah,
different
yeah.
depending what type they were. He wanted all that adding in, and I remember talking through that, and I think I only did it once. I only did it once because he added so much different balls. He had different everything.
Yeah.
Um, but I learned from that. You know,
Mm,
I because I'm not a coder. You know, well
yet.
at that time I weren't. But the block coding, as we like to call it, as like the own mod war, that were learning for me. So learning how being able to read your flow of what you've done was
Mhm.
helpful. So again, another thing where, like with what Andy did, a lot of it helped me learn how to flow and how to do it. And reading that OBS raw on how to make installers, that helped.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because I think the worst thing is it was all on one line,
Mm-hmm.
so you couldn't like find the bit what were wrong or scroll or all like that. It was you just saw this snippet of it, and it was the worst thing ever. Worst thing
Yep.
ever.
Yep.
Thank God for
Awful.
Excel draw and source copy.
Yeah. Whew. Yeah, that saved us a lot. Also, when we for StreamUp commissioned Exceldro to make like a custom plugin for us, because source copy is fun in games until somebody has another canvas size, and then it all goes into the shitter. Um, so yeah, we have a custom format, so people can just we created like a specific size, like 1080p. The plugin knows that, and then it can scale everything up or scale everything down if you got another um, size of
Yeah,
yeah,
which
canvas
makes it
size.
a lot easier. I mean, me personally now, I've started trying to do more browser sources because it just makes things feel a lot easier.
Yeah,
But because again, I don't like people relying on having people having, even though everybody should have the plugins. There's part of me that's like, I don't want them to have this plugin or this plugin or this plugin or
no,
this plugin,
no,
or try and work out which plugins I'm using in the products. I think that's the hardest bit. It's like, well, which plugin am I actually using here? I know I'm using Move
I
Transition, but
that's also the only one you need for Pokemon. It's the move transition.
yeah. But it was a really good. I mean, I enjoyed it. I think I had it on my stream for a little bit, but again, it was limited by Leo on board. I think.
Yeah, especially also one of the things that was really limiting. People were like, yeah, how do my viewers know which Pokemon they all have? Can I print the Pokemon names in chat? I'm like, well, good luck. A message is 500 characters long. at maximum, I think, on Twitch. How are you going to display all the Pokemon people have? Okay, maybe you can only type out the numbers, but that's not going to really work anyway. So yeah, and just the coding bit in the Oran board was really limiting for me. At first, it was like, oh, great, I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I can just use this to create stuff. But as soon as you get a little bit more into the complex things, I rather just type it all out in actual code, which saves me a lot of time. Although, to be fair, it's been a long time coming for the second version of the Pokemon game to come out. But yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I remember the INI files and how that's how they stored data and stuff like that. It weren't the best, but again, it was what it was.
yeah.
I don't know how it is now in Sammy or like that. I don't know if it's the same or like that, but
I have to admit, I never. Okay, never is not true. I installed and launched Semi twice. I've used it for 5 minutes
I
just
think
to see if something worked.
I think I did a stream. I think I did a stream, one stream, with looking at that point. I think it was called Leon Bot 2 when I looked at it. And I did build the game specific death counter, so it would look what game
Yeah,
you were playing and do a death counter based on it. I did build that, but then I tried building a point system and I lost then. I said nope. Didn't have a present
yeah.
viewers event, and I said no, I'm done. Uh, and that was like 3 hours after trying to build the death counter. I was like, okay, I think I'm done here, and
Yeah, yeah.
I never really looked back. But yeah, I mean, it is what it was. I think what I was trying to say there. You know, you built it, and now it's in streamerbot. So
Correct. Yeah.
the main differences are it's more cloud based,
Yeah.
API based.
So to get around the issue, how to show somebody what Pokemon you have, we could do two things. On one hand, you could like create a kind of Pokedex source in OBS and then like show all the Pokemon there. But people probably don't want that on their screen because it's gonna take up a lot of space. Um, it's not gonna fit their style of stream, most likely. And I always made the Pokemon game to be quite minimalistic. So I didn't have backgrounds, no trainers that come into view, just the Pokemon and a Pokeball. And in the first version, also text, like Pokemon appeared. And I was like, that's not gonna work. Doing it all in OBS. And I was like, okay, we can make a website as well. And the thinking was, if you make a website where people can view all their Pokemon, we can also then get around the issue where some people just pass off the Pokemon game as their own because it is on a website that is hosted by StreamUp. There will always be a StreamUp link, at least all the way down at the page and one at the top. So we can drive more traffic to StreamUp itself as well. So what we did is that the streamerbot side of things is now mostly the animations, triggering the animations in OBS and handling the channel point rewards. That's actually all that the streamerbot does, and then it talks to our API, the StreamUp API. Hey, I'm this viewer in this channel. I want to catch this Pokemon. And then sends a request, and the API says yes, or the API says no. And based on that, StreamerBot reacts and yeah, does the thing. And the great thing about it is that some things we can now update about the Pokemon game without streamers needing to update their side of things. So if we want to add new Pokemon, for example, the new game just recently came out. In the first version, we had to make an update to the actual code in order to handle new Pokemon. Now I can just add them in the API. People can up the generation number, and it works. And we can also make stuff like trading, which is one of the features that will come first after the public release.
Yeah, I mean, so KK's asked as well. Do you prevent tampering on the server side? I'm not sure what that really means.
Yeah. So we have some temper protection. Like you can't just change the. Okay, so let's say you request a random Pokemon from the server. It spits back a random Pokemon, and then you think, oh, you know what? I want it shiny. I'm just gonna change it to a shiny. And then you send the request in. Oh, I'm gonna catch this shiny. Nope, it's not gonna work because we send along a hash. So it's basically a mathematic equation that we do over like the information of the Pokemon that we send out, and then once we get it back, because you need the streamerbot sends it back as well. Then we check if it's the same hash, and you can't calculate that hash yourself because it uses also some secret values that only we have. So in that way, you can't really tamper with it by changing stuff. We also did this to keep the stats that we have at top of the page. So the leaderboards basically to make sure those are always correct. There's no way to tamper with that. Because maybe you want to do some cross stream possible like futures in the like in the near future as well. Then you need to make sure that that data is trustworthy and it's not like really tampered with. So not that a particular streamer can just say, "Oh yeah, you can always catch Pokemon. You always catch them," or something along those lines. Yeah. So we do have some tampering with it. So it is less customizable than the first version, but it does mean that we have more flexibility to roll out new features. And for the people that do want the flexibility, we still have the community edition from Chris.
I mean, I'm sure, like say, as you say, with API now, you can add things. So if when you put it in OBS, you say it's just a browser source you put in OBS.
Yeah, just two browser sources. One that loads the
This,
Pokeball, and one that loads a Pokemon sprite.
yeah. So I'm sure if people wanted it further down, like you could add things like types if they wanted it, or you could add the groundings. I'm sure that all the things could just be added easier now than they could have been before.
I should be able. Then I need to send out more information about the Pokemon. But even then, people can still call the actual Poke API. That's something we also use in the background, and that's without the Poke API, we just couldn't use. Just couldn't make the Pokemon game. So they can just fetch that information, and the actual catching mechanic, it's all on our side. So yeah, the how it looks in OBS, you can just change that if you want to. You might have to do some stuff yourselves, but if you're willing to,
That's cool.
you're good to go.
So obviously Another question, which is what I was thinking, why is it two browser sources instead of one?
It's a one source for the Pokeball, what I said, and one source for the sprite. And the reason why there are two sources is just because we use um, the move transition by Exceldro to make that animation. So the Pokeball is just a source that moves, and then the Pokemon is also a source that like shrinks down and shrinks up. If it would be one, I would have made the animation in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. That would have been an option as well. But a lot of people do know how, like streamers, do know how to change something with the move transition, but they don't know how to do it with CSS animations. So that's why we did there. I could have done it with like a single browser source as well, but this is what we went for.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So you did say that date, didn't you, when it's going public, the stream whatever,
29th.
the 29th. So do watch out for it because it is really good. If you haven't actually seen it ever in work, which you should do, go check out Waldo stream. You see it there, Andy's stream or whatever, and Bongo. I think Bongo has it as well.
Yeah, it has been in like a semi-public beta for a while. So all the patrons for StreamUp have access to it, and all my subscribers on Twitch have access to it as well. But every single time I said now, yeah, just don't subscribe to me because it's coming soon.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean it is good. It is really good because I've seen it. It don't like. I don't think it likes me very much, but I think it's
I
coded
might have
it.
put in a code to just nerf you.
He's rigged it again. I mean, you joke about that, but I actually did that to something for life. You know, his Mario clicker.
Yeah.
I coded that so when I click, it goes white. It is hard coded that when
Oh,
I click, just me, I click on it, it'll go white. So if you ever see Mario white in his flower power suit, then you
yeah.
know I've clicked.
Oh, nice.
Hard coded for me, and that's just literally is in the JavaScript. And
Nice.
yes, KK uses it to call me out when I'm lurking.
Smart, smart.
I mean, if I'm clicking, I'm
Um,
not really lurking, am I? So,
no. Well, you might be doing something else. Just click, 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 click.
but if I'm clicking,
Um,
I don't really.
yeah.
I mean, I'm one of the people that don't mind being called out that much from lurking, because I'll just ignore you if I don't want to talk.
Mhm.
But yeah, so 29th, going
Yeah.
public, brilliant stuff.
Yes.
And
For
Silver's better a Sammy version, has he not, as well?
not yet. No,
Is it that in the works?
that currently not. But there are plans.
Yeah, well,
If
we'll leave it
Silver
at that.
doesn't do it, I might eventually do it. But then I have to download Sammy again.
I don't know if I'd miss seeing something that's Silverlink had done regarding it. That's all.
Yeah, well, he started work, but then he stopped again. Not entirely sure what the state is, but the most code is on like the server side. So um, that was the big part that like also took a little bit longer to get it correct. Um, also saw a question in chat about like if it was for Twitch only or it will also work for YouTube. And currently it's only for Twitch since it heavily relies on the channel points. But to be fair, if you are clever, you could make it work for YouTube as well. We might make a YouTube version or just like make it work for chat commands. Um, since also like non-affiliates might want to use it. Um, but then again, you come into trouble with like okay, um, Well, now you could do it easily with chat commands.
You
It
you
just
could
feels less nice.
yeah. I mean, with chat commands, you could easily put like a user cooldown on, so say a person can't spam it, and
Just
then
even a global cooldown.
oh,
So people can't redeem it like right after each other, so they try to catch the same Pokemon.
but yeah, I mean, there would be workarounds. They just
Oh,
won't be
definitely.
the most friendly,
Yeah.
if that's probably the nicest way to put it. But YouTube will get their streaming. YouTube, it'll eventually have a nice system like that. There is a
I
something
hope
called,
so.
isn't there? There's something like Gazelle, that Bongo were talking about, that Tommy IRL created. Gazelle, that kind of makes channel points for YouTube.
Okay.
But I don't know fully now how it works. But well, I don't know.
Probably is then a browser extension,
Something like that.
I think. But yeah, the problem is you can't expect your viewers to have it installed. So
Well,
that's a bit meh.
that kind of goes back to when I was like saying I like to use browser sources because expecting.
Yeah. But then again, in that case, you can easier expect a streamer to install a plugin than you can expect their viewers to all install a certain thing.
Oh yeah, actually yeah, you're right. I'm being a bit. I was being a bit slow then. I didn't. I saw it from the other direction.
Hmm.
I'm an idiot. It's fine.
No, you're not. You're quite clever.
I'm all right. To say I just actually, you know what? Just to beef myself up a bit. To say, let's say, not last November, but the November before, I knew zero C sharp. To the amount of C sharp
Mhm.
I know now, I think I've done all right. And I know
Yeah, I'm quite impressed.
I know a fair bit of JavaScript as well.
I mean, we had just some chats on like Discord, and you came with questions to me with like really basic questions, and now you freaking just made a tool in streamerbot to do all sorts of stuff instead of just like a simple if else um whatever script. Yeah.
I, I mean that tool written a lot of it we're using that that chat GDP or whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of questions they ask that. How do I do this? How do I do that?
Yeah, but the reason is, if you ask me, it takes me 3 days to respond to you. And Chat GPT is just like, yeah, 5 seconds, you're gonna
And
answer.
and I get a proper answer.
Yeah, although to be fair, if Chat GPT is wrong, it's just very confident in it still. So it will just say, oh yeah, you need to do this and this and this, and it's just plain wrong.
Yeah. You need to add this using. No, I've got that using there. That using is there. It's not that. No, you need to add this using. No, I don't. The using is there. Shut up. I think the last one I got stuck on, it had me at, it kept telling me to add system.link.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, it's there. Stop telling me. But yeah, it was the form and table stuff and WinForm stuff.
Oh geez, I made that settings UI for the dynamic stream island that Andy's working on. WinForms is a pain. It's a pain. I like banish it from my mind because the last time I used it was like in university years ago. And I haven't used it since, but I know why I haven't used it since.
I felt the pain of it when I sent out my tool to Andy. I sent it to you. I think I sent it to Kat. And you said, oh yeah, it looks really good. I sent it to Live. And because his screen resolution is off,
Mm.
it threw everything off. I think I sent you the picture of it, how bad it looked. I'm like, how do I fix this? I don't know how to fix it. I can't replicate this ever. Table panel layout or something like that I used eventually. And that seemed to work.
Table flow layout,
Something like that.
I think.
Definitely there was
Yes.
paneling.
Maybe. I don't know. There's
Well,
so
that's
many types of stuff in there. It's just
I just literally put everything in like this like table form. And So what would you use instead of WinForms?
Well, I haven't really made any desktop applications. I've mostly been like web stuff. So in that case, you just have either something like Angular, but in my case, it was just straight up HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then all the backend stuff was C sharp. So probably nowadays, maybe Maui, which is the new cross-platform UI framework by Microsoft.
Next.js. See, I have no idea. No idea. I wing it. I wing it. So Pokemon friends aside, you obviously I know if we spoke a lot about streamerbot already, but
Mhm.
you had Leon on board one, and then obviously I'm assuming you found out about streamerbot through Andy because I think there was a connection from that way.
Yeah. Andy came to me. He's like, Waldo, we must have a call with Live and this Nate guy. I'm like, okay. I said, yeah. Apparently they have a new like bot for streamers. I was like, yeah, but we have Leo on board. That's fine, and it works. It's okay. And it was like, but you can use C sharp. I'm like, sign me up. So we went into a call, and that was the first time I learned about like streamerbots. So it was a call with me, Andy, Lifesaver, and Nate, and just spitballing ideas. And then like they showed off the bots a little, and they were kind of like fishing if we want to have like some sort of partnership with StreamUp. So that's why at first all the things that came out on StreamUp were focused on streamerbot. But yeah, I saw it and I was like, oh, I can use C sharp now. Sign me up. I'm all in. And I haven't really touched Leo on board or Sammy since. It's just
And the thing is, I said, apart from that one stream, I don't I don't I don't touch anything else. You know, we like I like wait for Nate to bring out his new updates and stuff like that. I do all the testing, but everything I do is thinking. But yeah, I remember my first time getting it and transferring all the raw because when you've coded raw in Leo on board to coding
mhm.
raw in streamerbot, there's a big difference. A, because you can test, so
Yep.
you know when you make a mistake, and B, because you can see everything. It's a full box. You can copy it in. You can see everything you need to see. So if there's a typo, if there's you can see everything. And I might be understating it here or overselling it or whatever, but that was a big thing. Just
Yeah,
ease of just
like
being able to see everything.
how like um it might really look like a program from like the 2000s, streamerbot. Um, but for stuff like that, it's so much better than the building blocks you have um, in like the other programs. It's just so much better because you can tailor the UI to the specific needs for yeah what the user's doing at that point instead of having to force everything into like the same type of building block.
Yeah. I mean, for me, as at that point as a non-coder, there was a lot of similarities that I were adding sub actions instead of blocks. I were adding sub actions, and my mind could see them both in the same way.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was just easier to be able to say, okay, this is what this is, this is what it is. And I think the first thing I did was edit my shout out thing that I made in Leon board, um, which it came down, it brought in the profile picture, the game, and all that. And I made an installer for it the second day it was public, and that's like my first interaction with Geo actually, because I shared it. I said, "Oh, this is what I built. It's an installer. It'll install it all, and it'll do shout outs." And I was quite impressed with it. I mean, now I think it's awful.
Oh, that's also how I look at like a lot of stuff that I made in the past. It's all awful.
I mean, I look at things that's so hard to edit. That's so awful to edit. That's I'm gonna have to if you want to edit, you have to change all the settings and you have to put all the filters again.
I mean,
And it makes me cringe whenever anyone asks me for it about it or like that. But I mean, I was hooked pretty quick on thingy. But I think I've spoken about this a few times and I've asked you, and I can't really get a straight because there was Leon Board 1, there was streamerbot, and then at the same time, Leon were coding Leon Board 2.
yeah.
There, and I don't think there was much time between streamerbot being public and then Leon Board 2 getting its somewhat first releases. I don't think there
It
was much time
was
between them.
like streamerbot came out, like the first public version, and then at that time the WebSocket 5 was kind of getting in the end stages, um, and at that point Leon Board 2 was being developed, because Leon Board 1 wouldn't be compatible at all. There would have been so much that needed to be changed in LB1 for it to work with WebSocket 5. Um, um, but yeah, that's why Leon Board 1 was kind of like done, basically. And then you got the new kid on the block, streamerbot. And I think like the first version of LB2 came maybe like 1 month, 2 months after
Yeah,
streamerbot.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It weren't long
No,
because I
no, definitely
remember
not.
there was a Twitch API change as well, wasn't there? If I remember rightly, that it went onto the Helix where it is now.
Yeah.
I think that
Well,
made Leon Board 1 break as well because he said, I'm not changing all the code for
correct.
the API.
But to be fair, it was already known for a long time that that API would be shut down eventually. Um, but a lot of things were just still built on the old API version, um, because it was way easier to work with for in some cases.
Yeah.
And that's probably why Leon Board 1 was still on that version of the API.
So, hypothetical question then. If
Hmm.
streamerbot didn't have a C# compiler, do you think you'd be still using it?
No, no. The main thing is because if you want to do something with a lot of logic, and and if you can't do C sharp, then semi becomes a lot easier to work with. Um, I think for people that can't program, semi is easier to get complicated stuff done, due to like the blocks, and you can easily nest things in if statements. But if you want to do more easy stuff, just call and response like chat commands, then streamerbot becomes a lot more easier for like new people. But the thing that holds back streamerbot in that regard is, I think, the way if statements are handled. For example,
Yeah.
you have to create, if you want an action with an if statements, you basically end up with three actions. If you want an if and an else, and not to speak of if you want to loop through something, that's all going to be really hard if you don't have the C sharp options. So,
Yeah.
and
I
that's
mean,
just a lot easier than in semi at that
yeah,
point.
I think I agree. I think, being able to say, being able to, one of the things that Leon Bodsame had was a skip. So you could skip the if this if A equaled 1, for example, you could say skip
Hmm.
the next three actions. So it
Yeah.
would skip the next three actions. I think things like that make it easier, and the while doing the while loop again, while loops and loops.
But what made that was I think that was only in Leonberg 1. I think they made it way better in Semi, but the all the logic used to be reversed in like Leonberg 1. So you didn't write if statements, but you always wrote if not statements. And that just messed with my brain because I'm just used to typing it out really quick and there I go. Now I had to really think about it because I had to okay, this is the if statement I want, but I actually need to do the inverse. Oh,
Yep. I think I'd be I don't know where I'd be if it weren't for the C sharp, because I've enjoyed learning C sharp. I think that kept me at streamerbot with the and I'm glad it did. I really am. I love streamerbot,
hmm,
but I think being able to learn C sharp, something a bit more advanced. Not saying coding anything complicated in SAM isn't advanced. It does take some skill, but
yeah,
being able to code things in C sharp is always fun.
definitely
But
is.
and when people moan about the look of streamerbot, I don't mind the look. I don't mind the. I mean, I agree with
It's
Bongo,
functional.
but dark mode is king. Dark mode is king.
Only during the night. I use light modes all the time during the day. Have you ever tried dark mode on your mobile phone while the sun is shining? Oh wait, you're in the UK. The sun is never shining. That's why you're also in.
Wow, wow, toxic.
I figured it out.
No, because our phones have sensors so that they raise the screen brightness, so
Yeah,
you
but
can
it
see
can't
things in
get
the sun.
bright enough.
It well, it never yeah, but it's still even when I go to Spain on holiday, I still use dark mode because dark mode is king. I,
I do like the look of it, but I just want to see what's on my phone during the day.
I will
If
die
I'm
on this hill.
inside, it's fine. But
I will die on this hill. But
I do some things I always do in dark mode, like Twitch. I never use Twitch in light mode, but
you can't see OBS either because OBS is always in dark mode by default.
yeah, I think it's okay on my PC. I use everything in dark mode, and I think it's only my phone where I switch it up the entire time.
I couldn't be bothered switching, to be honest.
But it goes automatically, like with sunset and sunrise.
I live indoors 24 hours. Yeah, I don't leave the house often.
Or maybe that's it.
So what? Moving on then. So you're now in love with streamerbot and all that, and we know that. What other things have you built in streamerbot? We talked about a few of the things you built, but what are the
Yeah, I don't build a lot of things. Actually, I mostly just small stuff. Just everything in my stream is powered by streamerbot. So all the commands, all the effects, all the alerts. But I don't really make big stuff. The only actually big thing was just like the Pokemon game. But what I do try to do is like, okay, I got this game and I played it a few times, and I know I'm gonna play it a few times more on stream. Then I'm thinking, okay, can I do something to make this a little bit more interactive? Because I do like to play games that have like native Twitch integration. That's why I played Vampire Survivors the other day, and because it now has a Twitch integration. But a lot of games don't, and I like to play Mario Kart from time to time. But there is no really any integration other than yeah, I can play with the viewers. But not everybody owns a Switch. Not everybody owns the game. Not everybody wants to play at the same time. Maybe they're just working on some stuff and they're watching the stream on the side. So in that case, I made like a randomizer. Just like how you have the items in the game where it like go and you get an item. Why did I make that sound? um, and I did that, but then for the card that I would be using, the wheels and the glider, and then they could redeem it. It would shuffle it up, and the next time, the next race, I needed to use that configuration of cards, which is the reason why I was like really bad at those races because I always use a specific setup, and it just wrecked me. But yeah, I just mostly have all the small things. Um,
I mean, sometimes it's the small things that do a good job. I mean,
yeah.
we were talking about earlier about um horror games. Sorry,
Hmm.
horror games, and
Yeah.
your code where you wrote some code where your heart rate controls the cost of the channel point. Now that was a thing before. I think you did that in Leon Board One, but then
Yeah.
you moved it up to a single channel point in streamerbot, and again that's done with C# and all that. So
Hmm.
there's code to check so it only runs so many times, and but that's integration, isn't it? That's you
Yeah.
adding something small to enhance stream. Because if you're scared and your heart rate's up, it's more expensive.
But if
So
I'm just chilling and I'm like at the nice 69 heart rate,
which is never is.
people like no. People like no, that can't happen. And then it's a lot cheaper for them
As soon as it drops
scare me.
under three figures, his heart rate's like redeem.
It doesn't even have the chance to get that low.
No, I don't. It really don't. I imagine people are like me. We've got your chat open, but we've also got the box open, and we said cooldown ends in 3, 2, 1,
Dude.
redeem.
Yeah, yeah.
But
You can update the channel point. I think there's not really a limit. It's probably just the basic Twitch API rate limit. But the problem is with changing channel points. That's what Ox is like a question about how like if there's like a rate limit, how many times you can edit it before Twitch shuts it down. There is not really a limit, but the problem is if you change a channel point reward and a user has that reward open and they click it, but you changed it in the meantime, they'll get an error.
yeah,
That's why when I did it based on my heart rate, that event comes in every 5 seconds. There's a big chance a viewer has the channel point reward open, waiting for the right moment to redeem it, and then I click it, and it doesn't work. So I wanted to avoid that. So I like checked. Okay, is it the same heart rate? Don't change it because why would you change it if it's exactly the same? But then also, I think I just do it like 50-50. So if it changed, okay. Have I changed it last time? No. Then I change it now, just to make that a little bit better because that's just okay. Twitch is great with some stuff, but it's also horrible with other stuff, especially on mobile. The channel point rewards, it just does not work. As soon as you change stuff around, it's no, the app doesn't like it.
yeah. I mean, I've been in that position where I've sat waiting for you to finish talking or stop looking at chat because you'll be looking at chat and thinking, I'm not redeeming it now because he's looking at chat. There's no point because
Yeah,
he's just going
yeah.
to see it. And then I press redeem and it goes, it's come with that area of something's changed or something like that. But yeah, I mean, you use code to set like time it out the change. So it's like, have you changed it in the last I think I don't know if you said 5 or 10, 5 or 10 seconds. Yes, you did. All right, don't change it. And it's just goes on like that,
Yeah.
which is how it's done. Um, I'm trying to think of what else you built. Um, you did the Mario Kart thing, which was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my queue system wouldn't be where it was without your input there, because that was bulk your code, and that one of the first things I coded early on. So I started learning in November. I think this is like the late January, February time. I
Mm-hmm.
said I want to build a proper play reviews queue system, and until recently, it was the only one that was being built on streamerbot. I think another one has been built recently, but again, that you're credited for it on the wiki. I'm
Yeah,
like, I can't not say Waldo because the most of this code he wrote is I've just edited it in a clever way.
yeah. Like I said before, I built a lot of stuff, but also a lot of stuff that I built is just in the background for StreamUp. Um, and yeah,
I
it's not
mean,
always that visible.
you did a lot of the website stuff, didn't you there?
Yeah,
So,
the website, API. Like
like I
there's
said,
also there's a lot of small stuff that we have. Like for example, for new StreamerBot, for new StreamUp products, if you install them in StreamerBot and there's an update, um, then you get a notification, just a little pop up. Hey, there's a new version available. Like stuff like that. That's stuff that I made. Um, so we can just update the version number in Notion, which is basically a yeah, it's kind of a note taking app slash database all in one. And you can just really simple just change the version number, and as soon as anybody just updates, just opens their streamerbot and haven't updated yet, they'll get a notification. So all the small stuff, all the little things.
yeah, I mean, and that's what it is. And then this is why we joke that you're the brains because you don't see what people don't really see what you actually do. I don't think. And when you say, well, what do you do? It's like, yeah, but I do this, and I said they're all little things, but they all they all add value. If
Yeah,
you get what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I mean, Silver's sort of the same. I think I wouldn't have said that Silver's built loads of stuff, but the stuff he does do, I think he did the Discord OBS Discord thing.
yeah.
Um,
The plug installer, which is used by many peeps.
the plugin installer. So again, just someone somewhat as nicely puts it in the background, but still adds so much value without realizing it. Because I assume you've had a lot of input in the stuff Andy's built as well. You know,
Waldo, how do I do this? Why
ex-
don't you walk?
so while you're giving Andy the answer, he's just putting the bits together. It's like when you have
Yeah.
a child and you're doing a jigsaw with them and go, that's the next piece, that's the next piece, that's the next piece, and you give them all the pieces in the correct order. They
And he
put
still
together,
messes it up.
they put it together eventually and go, look what I did, what you did. I give you all the pieces.
Oh, it is often that I just get a message from MD. It's like, yeah, if I want to do this, this, and this, how would I do it, or what's a good way to do it? And it's often not a specific like code question. Oh, how do I make a specific loop? No, it's just how do I do X, and then I come up with an idea, and sometimes it's a really shitty idea because I'm just like in the supermarket and I'm trying to get my groceries, trying to answer Andy at the same time. and sometimes it's a good idea, and it's actually like the way we do stuff. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
like I said, just mostly in the background for stuff.
I think Andy actually messaged me a bit, and he asked me about filters, and he wanted a way to send a OBS RAW 100 times without having to resend it, because all it was is one little bit in the RAW that was changing.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "We'll just use a list and just go through each
Ooh.
list and put the answer in." And he goes, "Oh, I don't know how to do lists." I'm like, "Well, this is how I would do this." I said, and then whenever I give Andy a code question, I always finish off with, "But check with Waldo first."
Nice.
Just in case, if it goes wrong, I can go, "Well, did you check with Waldo?" Then it's not my fault.
Smart man. Smart man. So you
But I
can't
think
take the blame.
I think he said it did work eventually. It did actually work because he's put all them names, source names into a list, and then he just put that name into the line of OBS RAW. Although I might have said when he said, "How do I do this in RAW in C sharp?" Because you don't do it in C sharp. I really don't like C sharp RAW. Oh, I just
Yeah, but the problem is, as soon as you're already doing stuff in C sharp, it's kind of a pain in the butt to then like exit out of it, then do stuff with like built-in actions, and then probably go back into C sharp. I'll just then just do everything in C sharp at that point.
I like just have 100 OBS RAW sub actions and just do each one, Andy. It's fine. Don't you worry about it.
Just copy and paste it 100 times.
Although I had to do some OBS RAW C sharp other day when I wanted to build something to refresh all my browser sources and made me cry.
Oh,
I
poor
don't
guy.
like I don't like OBS RAW. I don't like OBS RAW as it is. I think
No,
I'm scared from the um Leo and board days of OBS RAW.
I mean
So
it's nice that a lot of things are already like built in. Um, as sub actions or as actual like simplified CPH C sharp calls.
yeah, I mean it does make it easier that things are completely built in, and it makes it just makes things easier. I wish I
Definitely.
find a workaround though. If I can avoid if I can avoid it, I do find a workaround with RAW. It's always a last case scenario. So we looked at the other things you built. Obviously, the community makes streamerbot so amazing. And now, so what community builds would you? Because I know you've used a few. I
uh,
think you've used a few.
I used your giveaway script that you made
You
one
know what I'm
time.
digging at there, didn't you? You knew what I'm digging at there.
Yeah.
Just flexing. Ugh.
I was just, I was like, I had the a 24-hour charity stream. I was like, I want to do like giveaways during the stream. Oh, I don't have time anymore to make to make this thing. And then I remember, oh wait, I think I even helped you a little bit with it
Probably did.
beforehand, to make it. And I was like, yeah, I just took it and then I was using it during that stream. So that's one of the things that I use from the community,
And it worked amazingly.
and it worked. It worked flawlessly. Um,
You see how surprised
I
you sounded then? Worked perfectly.
what? How is this possible? Um, but yeah, other than that, I haven't really used many community things myself. Since often I can also make it myself, and then I can make it exactly how I want it. Um, but there is like one person in like the streamerbot community that I'm every single time he posts something, I'm like, sheesh. It's like really specific to his channel, so it's not really something you could share and everybody could install. But it's the effects that Quest isn't it
Question or
Questron?
something like that.
Yeah, it's just insane. It's just a lot of things back to back to back. And it is probably not that difficult in like on the streamerbot side. It's just an action, wait, an action, wait. There probably isn't much more to it. But they're just really crazy and out there and yeah, just like really creative. I met him at the TwitchCon. He doesn't know that it was me, but um, he
Yeah,
got my
because
stickers.
well, I remember Vlad did his talk, didn't he? And he showed bits off, and he was one of the people he showed off. Um, there's also someone else. I don't know if you've seen how he does his alerts, but there's someone called the loading artist or something like along them lines. Um, and all his alerts are triggered in streamerbot, but if you look how his streamerbot is set up, it's the most incredibly insane thing ever. It really. So he goes, this action then triggers this action or this action, and then this I'm like, oh my god! And it reads ini files. It uses ini files in his streamer bot,
Okay.
and so that you have like this cartoon character, and you can change your hat and you have your dress, and it's insane. It really is insane.
I'll gotta
But
check that out then.
other thing you've used, I would say you've used a lot of the KK's Minecraft stuff,
Yes.
which
Yes.
we spoke about earlier.
I used to use a mod for it. I think it was called Twitch Spawn. That's actually what I used when I first got raided by Andy. I was streaming some Minecraft, and at that point, when I got raided, a zombie would spawn for every single like raider that came in. So I was in like a really tight area. So yeah, I did not survive that. Um, and but that mod never really got updated. At least not quick enough. Because if I play Minecraft on the channel, I mostly wanted to play like just the latest version of Minecraft. And that mod was basically stuck in I think 2 versions back. I think now it is up to date again. But yeah, then KK came around with her. It was basically was it the plugin for Bucket or not Bucket Spigot? Um, yeah, I could use that to do stuff in Minecraft. I haven't really used it that much. I wish I used it more. Yeah, Spigot. Bucket is the old stuff, like way back for the Minecraft server stuff. Um, but one of the cooler things was that I could not just only make stuff happen in Minecraft, but also I could have Minecraft do stuff in my stream. So when I took damage, I turned red for like a split second. Just me in the webcam. Or when I died, I used the
GTA.
stream up wasted effect.
Yeah.
And that way you can just completely integrate it. I wish I have done more with it. But I don't want to be just a Minecraft streamer. Although I just now only do Minecraft content on YouTube. But yeah, I now joined a SMP made by KK, which also has some of the um, like the same things where chat can just use channel point rewards in order to like spawn an anvil on top of my head that drops down and try to kill me that way, or like make me float up into the air, all fun stuff like that. While I'll try to just do my normal stuff in Minecraft.
Yeah. And there was a point when you was going to touch the heat map, but you didn't get round to that, did you?
Yeah, because the heat map itself is kind of janky. Like it just I was I tried to work with it, but every single time I like had like a few minutes to take a look at it, which obviously wasn't really enough. Um, what I was trying to do is, if you can't see it right now, but I got a Lego cube in the background, the question mark cube from Super Mario. So what I wanted to do is, if you pressed it, it would like go like boing. Um, but only like every now and then. So people wouldn't really be sure if it like worked or not. Um, but yeah, it never worked actually. it,
Uh,
it, it didn't work for me. But yeah, the Mario jumping thing seems to work for you in Lifesaver.
I mean, something that probably will be coming soon is the WebKit 5 version of Heat, because we have to make some changes to the code. Well, I say we, I mean filers had to make some changes. A bit like you and with it. I'm not the face of Heat because I make the videos, but
Mm,
most of the heavy lifting is done by Fowler's. He does all the coding and all this. But yeah, I mean, the community made some amazing stuff, and I think you see what people share and stuff like that. It's insane where people's minds go. I think really is, especially when people like I like to think that I'm fairly good with streamerbot and I can solve most problems or find a workaround.
yeah.
But someone shares what they've done, I'm thinking, how the fuck have you done that? Um, someone who built some really cool stuff, Madcap. Um, again, someone who doesn't use code, but he's built a slot machine, a genuine slot machine, just using sub actions. He's built a um a battle game just using sub actions. I think there
That's
might
just
be
insane.
I think there might be the tiniest bit of coding, but the bulk of it is only sub actions. Because he don't code, but he goes,
Mm,
I can put sub actions together.
yeah.
I'll just do that.
I wouldn't like try and even do it in just sub axis. I At that point I go C sharp. When I do make something in streamerbot, I do like to do as much as I can in the like native actions. And at some point I need to use C sharp, and I gladly use C sharp. Um, but yeah, I try to still use as much native sub actions as possible, unless I know I'm like working on a big thing, and I just like, yeah, I'll do it all in code.
Yeah. I think we spoke about this in one of the discussions that when we give him support, we were too easy to say go to C sharp, go to C sharp, and I think we don't realize not everyone can code.
No.
So when you go to C sharp, it's like, is this possible? Yeah, in C sharp. But
Mm,
actually, no, it's possible if you use, like you said before, use an if statement, you use 3 or 4 different actions. It's still possible in the UI.
yeah,
Harder, don't get me wrong, it's
but still
a lot
possible.
harder. Still possible. So you need to give them sort of like solutions first, which I do like try do now. Um,
Mm.
but I mean, I try, don't always do it. I'm just like, yeah, use C sharp, it's easier. So going forward, then,
Mm.
yeah, exactly. Saying to see everything's always possible in C sharp, so you can I
True.
think Gauman upset someone in the Discord the other day because he said, yeah, but you can technically order a pizza with streamerbot if you use C sharp. So it depends what you want. And they were like, oh, anyway. So I do have a question here. I do.
Okay. Shoot.
The future of the bot. What would you
Yeah.
like to see added? Where do you think it'll be in 6 months, 12 months, etc.,
Mm.
etc.?
Oh, well, we already touched on it. One of the things, which is a better way to handle if statements. I know. No, I don't know, but I reckon Nate is like cooking something up. Um, it's just not the easiest thing to do. And also to make it work like good. Um, but like I said, I can just go into C sharp. So for me, it's not a problem. But I know that it can get messy quickly if you have a lot of if statements in your actions, because it turns into way more actions. Something else that I would like to see is I do really like the C sharp integration in streamerbot. The only thing I don't really like is the editor. It doesn't have code completion. It doesn't like follow my code style. I almost never press that button format, like the formatting button. I almost never press it because it doesn't follow the code style that I'm used to. So one like massive thing would be if I could just click a button that's like open in Visual Studio Code, something along those lines. And then I can save it and it would go back or whatever. That would be so good. That would be so good. It would really speed up my workflow. One other thing that I would like to see coming to streamerbot. It's kind of a weird like plug for myself. Because since yesterday I registered my own company, and as a side project I'm working on something. I can't really say too much yet, but it would be pretty nice if it had native integration in streamerbot at that point, because yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm aware, I don't like to speak for Nate. Obviously, I don't like to speak for Nate,
No,
but
of
I
course.
think the logic statements are to be looked at, because, like we said before, it'd be really nice instead of having to run an action, I could just run a sub action. I could add a sub action into that box and say run this one sub action, or run this bit of code, and I could add a big bit of code to do this is what I want to do, instead of having to do like say 3-4 different actions. I think where I found it is when I wanted to do different alerts if I were doing Spyro or doing a normal stream. So I wanted to check if the game equals Spyro, or actually no, I did if current scene equals Spyro, then it triggered the Spyro alert. But that were like then 3 different actions, and then when it's all in different rate alerts, you got baits, you got subs, you got resubs. That ended up being a lot of new actions and a lot of actions. So being able to just say, turn this on, do this,
And
would have
if
been
you
nice.
didn't have a good naming scheme in streamerbot, it's gonna be a mess.
Yeah. Well, the scene was called Spyro scene, so all I had to check for that. So it
Yeah, but
worked.
like
But
if you start off correct with like a good naming scheme, it's all right. But if you already like had just whatever names, and it becomes
it becomes a
bad
nightmare.
quickly. Yeah.
Although I think I'm going to bring it up because I think there's something you've asked for before in the past that I don't think should be brought in,
Ooh.
and that was the channel point importer. When you import code, you said it'd be nice if you could import channel points at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a. I mean, don't worry. I think the whole idea of I think there's an idea on the idea site of where we could have more than 50 channel points, because obviously we know that it's a hard limit. There's an idea that you could have more, and you just deactivate them. I think I personally feel that's a terrible idea. Like you just have that. You got to see that screen, and having 200 channel points in there just would be. I think it would just cause more hassle. People disagreed with me. Some agreed with me, but for me, I think 50 is a lot. I don't think people realize how many channel points 50 is actually is.
Yeah,
I think 50 is a hell of a lot of channel points.
No, but okay. I also said it to Nate at the very first call we had, like, oh, importing channel points. And at that point, it was like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do it because because there's a limit, but also you don't just want to create stuff for people. You want to get the people still in control of it. And I get it, but on the other hand, like for the Pokemon game, people now have to create a channel point themselves anyway. And it would be nice if the bot could do it. And my solution, or at least my proposal for it was, okay, have the import, but have it always disabled for importing by default. So people have to actually go in, click, yes, I want to import the channel point. And only then would it import it. So people are aware of the fact that a new channel point will be created for them.
Yeah, I mean by default might work, but I just say, a I wonder what would happen if a non-affiliate tried to import it because they will have channel points, and
But then you can say, oh, if you're not affiliated, the bot knows if you're affiliated or not. So it can just not let you enable it.
then if someone already has 50, it this is my way of thinking on it. And again, because I'm not a massive coder, it might be easier or harder than I think it in my head. But in my head, it's like there's about 4 different checks you need to do just to import a channel point. Surely it's just easier just to say, if you want a channel point, create a channel point.
Well, of course, that's easier. But that's the thing with programming. It's always stuff that makes it easy for the user makes it hard for the programmer, and stuff that makes it easy for the programmer makes it hard for the user.
I mean, I
There's
get
always
that,
you need to find a balance in there.
but yeah, I mean, importing channel point, it's not something I mean, the more than 50, I think is a terrible idea. I'm not saying importing channel points is a terrible idea. Should it be in there?
I mean,
I'm not sure.
I don't mind that. It would be great for like us as stream up. But other than that, are most people like? Is it handy for most people? No. So
It's
fine
an
if
odd,
it's not there.
it's an odd one in it. It's one of them things. But again, like I said, if it's added, it's added. But it's right. The more than 50 one, I generally do think it's a bad idea. I generally think it's a bad idea because I think that'll cause more problems than it solves.
Yeah, and if you actually want, you can always have a channel point that you like update to make something else.
Yeah.
Um,
You can always
Good.
update the names of channel points and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And I think Geo had some code that said, okay, this channel point is going to be this or this, and if it's called this, it's going to trigger this action. If it's called this, it's going to trigger this action. If it's called, and you could do it that way. But as I said to someone, the actions are still there. You just need to transfer them over, you know. But to someone who don't have that many channel points, I have to then go enabled, active, and all these other. You could add another name in there because you have enabled and disabled at the moment, which means it's either turned on, it's turned off.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to have it with this method where you have more than 50, you need to have another version of enabled, as in it's created or it's not created. And for a normal
50,
user,
50 is plenty.
for a normal user, that's a lot more work. Forget the programming side, but for a normal user like myself and 90% of streamerbot users who don't have more than 50 channel points, it's more work for them. I mean, that's just my rant over. I mean, you made a suggestion about the quote system, I believe, as well. I don't know if that got added.
The quote system.
Was it? I think he added. I think he actually did add it. The allowing subscribers, because at one point, because there's now a text checkbox on the quote system.
Oh, actually, never used it, but
I think there's somewhere you suggested well, I want subscribers to be allowed to add quotes.
Yeah,
Or
because you could have it like just viewers, VIPs, or moderators. But then I was like, okay, but why also not then there's subscribers? Because that's also a logical.
because I think the viewers were in there as well, weren't there? There were
Yeah,
viewers,
so just everybody
everyone,
basically.
and there were no like extra step. I think, but I think that's in
Yeah.
there now. I think that's in there.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I actually don't really use the quote system.
You probably should, though, to be honest, with amounts of that comes.
Oh yeah, I say some weird shit on stream, not on purpose, but
It
just
just,
comes
it just,
out.
just comes out. It does. I mean, I do as well. But then again, I type weird stuff, and I'm just all round odd.
Yeah. People just tend to just clip my weird sayings.
Honestly, the stuff you say is nothing compared to the sounds you make. Oh.
Oh yeah. Fair point. Fair point, KK.
I'm assuming she's talking to you. I'm not taking that bullet.
Yeah. No, I make weird sounds as well. Also, those are clipped, and some of them I use as like a sound effect command that subscribers can use.
I mean, just going back onto the weird sounds. What's a Mario wheel like? Uh, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I always I don't know if you ever saw the chat. Did you say you use the chatbot, Streamlabs chatbot, the program?
Yeah.
I remember that you could import scripts. So if you wanted to, and then you'd go onto a separate page and you'd edit settings. I would like something like that in streamerbot,
Mm.
like a proper plugin installer. I think that's the one. I know I've said this a few times, and it's probably a really hard thing to make.
Yeah.
And it's not the hard thing that to add it to, but it's hard. It's the fact that then coding it from my perspective, coding something to work that with it is also difficult.
Yeah.
But just instead of having to do all these actions and set arguments and all that, you literally just say, I want you to trigger with this command or this command, and that would be something really nice. But
Yeah, for like settings, we like with Streamer, we're kind of getting there with the settings screen that I made. But yeah, that's just part of it because you can't then just say, oh yeah, I want to use this chat command for it. No, you still need to either import the chat command itself, or you need to create a chat command and then assign it to the action.
yeah,
You can't just do it all in one go.
like like the point system would be really handy to say, okay, this is how many points you're going to earn every such and such. This is how many flag points. Instead of having all these different actions you have, just have it on one tab and it's there. You can change the settings. Would be really handy. Again,
Yeah.
probably something that's really difficult to do, but
Yeah.
we can dream.
Of course we can.
And I think that is the beauty. So that kind of gets us to the end. We've found a lot. Have you got any questions for me?
Do you got any plans, future plans for the tool that you made?
Uh,
Or is it done?
I was thinking about this, and one thing I was looking at is sending WebSocket string with it. So that, because I, as I said earlier, I like to build everything in JavaScript now. All my stuff I overlays. So I was looking at doing something like that, but I think I quickly went out against it because the WebSocket string that streambot sends, I'd have to a lot of matching up and stuff like that. And I thought that would probably, actually, in fairness, I'd just be happy if people used it. If I saw people use it, when you go into
But
people who
is
build
it
stuff.
more difficult thing to see being used?
I don't know. It's nice when you go into Andy's stream and he's using it. You say, "I built that,"
Yeah.
and I hadn't used it myself. Actually, I have used it myself when I built my ranking system. But yeah, that's where it's nice to see bigger people because I think it's really handy. I think there's nothing else like it
Hmm.
on out there, and sh to check a global variable, especially a temporary one in streamerbot, isn't the easiest thing to do.
No, no.
I mean, let's be fair. Before you could save and open up the globals file and just say, "All right, this is where it is." We can't do that now, obviously, with
Oh,
it being
you
a
can.
database.
You can.
Well,
You just
you
have to
can't.
use a program.
Yeah, but I don't think you can open it while streamerbot's open.
No, it only it's like there can only be one connection to the database file.
Yeah, so you can't
So
open it while
yeah, yeah,
streamerbot's open. So then you'd have to close streamerbot, open it up, and it becomes a nightmare.
yeah. But yeah, then you can only use the you see the persistent um, variables anyway.
And you can't see. Yeah, so temporary ones just. I mean, if you do make out with temporary, you have to restart your bot and stuff like that. Now you can just press the delete on the button and it deletes it, or set a value and say this is what I want. And yeah, if I could see what people were building with it, so I'd be happy. And just, but it's nice seeing Andy use it. You know, these people that do build on stream, be nice to see them use it and stuff like that.
I think I've also seen Lifesaver use it a little bit.
Oh yeah, because I had to edit it for Lifesaver because he's got a weird screen. But also when something like Vlad comes back to stream, and I know he's been busy with live stuff,
Hmm.
um, letting him see it and play with it would be nice. And like I said, I know Nutty builds on stream. I ain't seen him use it yet. Probably don't even know about it, but
I don't know.
it's
I don't
things
know if
like
he
that.
knows.
For me, that's what brings me through. Seeing other people use what I built and then say nice things about it.
Yeah,
And
that's great. That's a good feeling.
I
Yeah,
don't know what
it's
else
a
I could
shame
add
I
to it though.
don't do like OBS stuff on stream in that regard.
I mean, if you did, I'd still watch. I would watch, and I'd enjoy
Yeah,
it.
but I'm like I just can't program when somebody's standing next to me. So let alone 20 peeps in chat saying you're doing this wrong.
Seven,
I couldn't do that.
7. Let's not inflate here. 7. You're never going to run a podcast with me again. Are you? Like, I'm not doing a TD
No,
podcast ever again.
it was a mistake.
All he did is abuse me. I used to get that though when I worked in retail on tills. If my boss was stood next to me, like over me, I used to be like scanning, checking.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
especially eggs. I can't have eggs, and I'm checking. Oh shit, I've dropped them. Then I'd look round and go,
They're
and
pretty
I'll
scrambled.
ring because if you needed any assistance, you'd ring like a bell. I assume that you have supermarkets have bells in other countries, but in the UK, if you need assistance if a cashier
With
needs
a phone.
assistance, it rings. Yeah, well, we didn't have like the telecom thing, like sales assistant to till one. Sales assistant, we didn't have that. We had to ring a bell.
Ding, ding, ding,
But
ding, ding.
I manager behind me, so instead of asking my manager, "Can you get me some new eggs?" I'd be too scared. I'd have to ring a bell. Yeah, that's exactly how how um how much of a under pressure person I am. Like, I don't like it when my boss is behind me.
Me neither.
But yeah. Um, but yeah, if anyone's got any more questions in chat, feel free to post them in. Just remember, streamerbot is built by a sole developer, Nate, who you can support if you wish. And yeah, I mean,
Only also if you can't do it monthly, but you are using it, you can also consider doing it just like one time.
Yeah.
It probably like saves you a lot of time, gets you a lot of value. So
And I think the cheapest one on Patreon is really cheap. I think it's like £1 for me. So it could be. Oh, I think it's like 1.29 actually, because I think it works out like $1
Yeah.
in something like that. I think he's got which even then, if 100 people did that, that's $100, and it all adds up.
Yeah.
Especially for as a program it is. Yeah, but I think I'm out of
Might as well
questions.
just be a paid program with the amount of functionality it has.
It is an awesome program, yeah, and it can do so much, and there's so much there in the community. My streams wouldn't be where it is without it. Even in terms of like viewership, without doing it, it's being able to do streambot stuff has helped my viewership and my community reach and building stuff and stuff like that. And there's so much that I think it can still do. Like I've said many times, get this built into streambot, get this built into streambot. Twitter, Spotify, all those sorts of stuff would be awesome just built into streambot.
Yeah. Yeah, but there's also something you just need to like keep in mind. It's like feature creep. You just don't want it to be so massive that it's just not being able to be like supported anymore because there's just so much stuff going on in the same program. So you need to really cherry pick. Well, Nate has to cherry pick what like gets in and what is better to be left by extensions.
Yeah. Well, that's where a plugin installer would come very handy.
Yeah.
Just to push my idea more.
It saves you work, Nate. Think about it.
I think that's why he added the C# compiler. I think Live told us that people said, "Oh, can you add this? Can you add this? Can you add this?" He's like, "Look, I can't add all that. Here, what I'll do, I'll add a C# compiler. Go code it yourselves." And I believe that's a story, but yeah.
I don't know. That's before my time.
Yeah, well, for my time, but I think Live mentioned it on his podcast, on the podcast he were on. So, since we have no more questions, and I have no more questions, the next podcast will be the 25th with, I don't know.
Ooh.
I honestly don't know. I do think I do know, but I don't know what my list is. And I don't want to say a name and it be wrong.
Yeah. That might be awkward.
But I think I know what it is.
Okay.
I think I know what it is. But I will put a teaser out like I did with yours. I loved your teaser I put out. Just as I absolutely loved the teaser I put out for you. I don't think it got enough love. That teaser.
No. Maybe they just could not find me.
Well,
Well, it was fairly obvious where I was actually, but
oh yeah, it was so obvious. It was so obvious even Bong understood. But yes, I'm pretty sure it is an SB user. The next I say non-SB user is is the last February one.
you gotta convert them.
I just got to check my notes, which I don't know where they are. But she's been using streamerbot for a little bit already, so she's kind of new, but not fully new, if that makes sense. She's not as intricate as you or I. But anyway, yeah, so the 25th is the next one. To keep up to date, check me out on Twitter. So twitter.com/TerryDarts. I have to think, there's so many T's in Twitter, Twitch, Terry Darts. It just throws me off.
You brought it up on yourself with it.
I know. I should have called myself something else. I call myself Terrier Darts. Obviously, the Terrier part comes from the football team I support, and the darts because I like darts. And I was actually going to be a dart streamer when I first started, and then I just never changed it. But it
I
wasn't
was
going
planning to have friends, but yeah.
to. Yeah, I have considered calling myself like TD, and then something like Twitch TV TD or something like that. But I can never get it right or sounding right. You know, I am who I
Yeah.
am. I can't be changed. I cannot
Exactly.
cage this beast.
I always thought your name was from like the terrier, like the dog breed.
Well, it kind of is because the football team I support is Huddersfield, and we're nicknamed the Terriers, and our mascot is a Yorkshire Terrier called Terry.
Terry.
Terry the Terrier. Actually, I call I used to have a bot account, and that used to be called Terry the Bot. That's what it used to be called.
Gotcha.
And then used to go into a stream, and I used to get called Terry Darts, and it just I'm like it weren't doing it like ironically. It would literally thought my name was Terry Darts, and I'm like, just read my name. Where the I'm like, you know it's Terrier, right? And now Nina is the only one I will let me call Terry. Anyone else, I'll just ignore you.
Like I ignore you on
Yeah,
Discord.
all the time. But yeah, so twitter.com/Terry Darts, and these obviously stream live on twitch.tv/Terry Darts. If you want to check me out, come follow. We are trying to do UK time Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday morning streams. This year I'm trying to do four, and doing Valheim, doing coding, streambot stuff, probably some VR, and there's some speedrunning on Spyro.
Oh man, I like Spyro. That was
I,
my like
I was
my
top
game growing
100,
up.
but now I think I'm like 102. I did break the top 100 at one point, and then a few people have done it and then pushed me out. So I need to get back into the top 100 and then
Nice.
keep going. Not like Andy's speedrun was like, oh, done jump king in 19 minutes. Where does that put me in the record? 927th.
Yep.
Shut up, lad.
Not even close.
You need to do it in 5 minutes to get in the top 100, which is just insane.
It's like that's just like making no mistakes.
That's just like jumping straight in it, just like straight up, just
Straight up, no mistakes. The only way you can get faster is just don't hesitate, because that's what like kills a run. If you wait just a little bit too long with a jump,
and
or you're not
take the
aligned
shortcuts.
correctly.
There's a few shortcuts in there where you can
Yeah,
jump
that as
a little
well.
bit different. But yeah, but I have to complete jumping first, which I do. If you do the channel community goal, I will do. Anyway, that's probably going to be it for me. Remember, do check out Walder. All his links will be below. All links to people we've mentioned will be below, and all my links will be probably below as well, if there's room. But till next time, I'll see you all later.